Hey guys, Tim here, Big Dog Forge. Welcome back. It's good to see you in the shop. The big drill bit Damascus reveal. Take a look at this real quick. All right, so that's where we were, and this is where we're going. So I'll show you this, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about it. All right? Thanks. Peel this canister off here, and you can immediately see that things are kind of flaking apart there. Not exactly sure what that's all about. Let's get the rest of this canister off here, because it seems to be somewhat solid, and I have no idea if it's, cracking just around the sides, the edges, if that's all the way through. I don't know. Then we're going to get this thing up to forging temperature, welding temperature, and we're going to try to press it together nice and slowly with Floyd here and see what happens to it. And we just know that we can consolidate this together and make it all stick in one nice big chunk, and not so much. It kind of like forging a burnt oatmeal cookie. It just doesn't want to work. And we keep trying to, push things together, consolidate. Maybe there's some hope in there somewhere. But it just doesn't seem to want to work. So I think what we'll do here is we're going to get this thing back up to forge welding temperature, and we'll let Scrappy have a go at it. See if it can just be forced back into place with, just brute force. All right. And Scrappy went for it, and the oatmeal cookie just fell apart. Little nub that you see that I have there is nothing but 1084 that was in the end of that canister. And this is a piece that fell off the end. We quench it there. Those fingers that you see are basically bits of 1084 that welded together. There you go, guys. Alright guys, you saw what happened there. Not pretty. So apparently the properties of the high-speed steel just would not allow it to do anything other than crumble into dust. The veins that you saw running through there after all the rest of it were gone was the 1084 that managed to weld itself together. And it kind of looks like what was left over after I got done. So the parts that did consolidate were the ends where most of the 1084 was, and then where the bits were, they just disintegrated into dust. And I haven't dug into exactly why, but it's something about the heat resistant properties of the high speed steel and being taken to a temperature they just didn't like. And anyway, that's that. I went back to the video and turned off the comments. And I read through every comment. There's 121, 22, something like that, comments on the video. I read through each and every one of the descriptions of what this would look like. And there were a couple of people who started their description with, if it welds together, it will look like this. But I had one individual who was dead on, who described exactly what was going to happen. Problem is, he put that comment on a live stream that disappeared, and I don't know who that is, and it wasn't on the right video. I think it was a live stream right after I put the Damascus drill bit video out. But like I said, don't know who it was, can't remember, but I do remember reading it, and said that he'd tried it himself, and it was the exact description. So that left me with a couple of individuals, like I said, who kind of had an idea. But one said it will not work. It won't weld together. There was no description of what it would look like. It was just that it won't work. It won't weld together, and it will go wrong. And that was the closest description I've got in the entire thing by one individual, and that is James McMullen. And that makes you the guy, James. You win. Congratulations. James McMullen, send me a mailing address and an email, bigdogforging@gmail.com, and I'll get these in the mail to you. The big winner. All right. Okie doke. So that was going to be it, and I thought, I can't do that to you guys. So, sorry. So anyway, I put this together for you guys to watch, and I think it'll work out a little better. We're going to see. This time I promise no cliffhangers. People were really upset about the cliffhangers. I lost subscribers over the cliffhanger, so we won't do that anymore. Anyway, take a look at this, guys, and we'll talk at the other end. It was a lot of fun to put together, so hope you enjoy. Thanks. All right, everyone, here we go. So we're going to do this again, but we're going to do it with some augers. I found these in a yard sale a couple of years back. They were all one set, wrapped up in a canvas carrying case, laying out in the rain, and they've been kind of kicking around since. So I found a purpose for them. We're going to get some muriatic acid on them, let them sit for a while, and we're going to take one of these guys and test it. So we'll give it a bend test right out of the acid there. Bends pretty easily, didn't break. I'm going to quench it. Took it up just above critical. See how it transforms. And it looks like it transformed pretty well there. And we're going to smack it again. See if she breaks. And it snapped off pretty good. So it's hardenable. Good hardenable steel it looks like. And that shank, yeah, it hardened up pretty well too. So I'm thinking this is some good carbon steel. Did a little spark test on it. You can see it here. I'm cutting off the ends of these. We're going to use the little nibs to fill in the empty spaces in the canister that we're going to put these in. We're going to use another stainless steel canister. I've not seen too many other people use stainless steel canisters, but we got a piece of stainless steel pipe, and it's 2.5 inches ID. And we're going to select these bits so we can fit as many as we can down in here. And when it starts getting tight, I'm going to start sort of screwing them in so that they interlace with the other bits in there. We get as many as we can in there. And then in between the shanks that are sticking up, we're going to take the portions that we cut off and fill that in, because there's more space up there on that end. We want to fill it in a little bit so we're not wasting so much space. And we'll save a little bit on some 1084 powder as well. Alright, I have no idea how this is going to look when I get done with it. It could be that these bits are made out of 1084, who knows. It may come out looking like one chunk of steel. There you go. K&G, good people. So we emptied one can there. It was almost empty anyway. It was about a quarter full. And we'll have to get into a second can to fill this thing up. And I was reading where you guys said that if you put the screwy bit upward, it would probably allow the powder to get down inside a little easier and not leave any voids. And I've never had any problem getting this powder in the little crevices and cracks and stuff, but obviously we couldn't tell on the last billet. The whole darn thing was a void. But we should be able to figure that out on this one. I don't think there's going to be any open spaces. But we will find out as we proceed forward here. Alright, we'll get this top welded on. And we're putting a mild steel plug in either end, which means that the 1084 will weld to those, which means it will weld itself to the handle that I'm putting on it. But the canister should just turn into a shell. And after some forging, it will expand because it gets thinner and grows larger. So it should just be loose around the billet, except for where it's connected at the ends. Alright, I'll get this guy up to temperature here. And this thing weighed, almost 7.5 pounds by the time I got it put together. So it took a little bit to get it up to welding temperature. And Floyd was kind enough to press it out here for me into a nice square billet. And we're going to change out these dies here in a minute, and we're going to put in some drawing dies. And at that point you'll see that canister start to sort of move away from the billet itself. And you can't see it there, but I've got a little kiss block on the other side. I wanted to maintain about a 1 5/8, 1.5 inch square on this guy for a particular reason. Alright. And you can see that canister just sort of bulging out on the sides at this point. Alright, we'll let that guy cool down, and we'll get to cutting that canister off there. And I didn't waste too much footage here doing this, so we'll just kind of cut to the chase, get it apart. And what we should see is one nice solid chunk of steel from one end to the other. Nice gray color. And it is stainless, so it's a little bit tough, but it cuts okay and chisels apart okay, and it comes off pretty easily. Compared to trying to grind them off when they're stuck. There you go. Nice solid billet. And I cut the end off, but I left part of the handle end on, and we're about 6 3/4 pounds. Alright, we got that back into the furnace and let it anneal while it cooled down. And we're going to cut a chunk off here that we can play with. There we go. What are you doing? You put it back on. Alright. It's 5.5 by 1.5 by 1.5. And what we're going to do is we're going to squeeze this down the long way and draw it out the opposite direction. Let's get this into some ferric chloride and see if we get any kind of pattern out of it all. We did a real rough grind on it. think I took it down to maybe 120 grit. You can see some pattern coming out in there already though, huh? That's kind of interesting. Alright, we'll get a little closer look in the camera and we'll have done with this guy. Alright guys, you can see some patterning in there. I didn't etch this too long, so it didn't get real super dark, but you know, enough to see the pattern. And doesn't look too bad. It'd be kind of interesting. And yeah, I didn't clean up that side very well, or that end. This end you can see, you know, sort of a drill bit sticking out there. In the upper left-hand corner, you can see a couple little cold shunts. They don't go very deep. They can be ground out pretty easily, so I'm not worried about that. So I'm going to send this on over to James, County Line Forge, and I'm going to go ahead and give it to him to do with what he wants. I told him I'd send him 2 billets to make hammers out of, and I only sent him 1. I think I've got your address, James. I believe I've sent you one of these before. I'll take a look. If I don't have it, I'll email you. But anyway, so there you go. All right, guys. I think that's it for this time around. If you're a patron Big Dog Forge, send me your mailing address. I need to send you out a dog tag. If you're interested in a dog tag and you don't want to become a patron, you can head on over to the main page of Big Dog Forge and hit the PayPal button there and send in just a littlest donation and put your address in there, and I'd be more than happy to send you one. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks. And thanks for hanging out at Big Dog Forge. It's always good to have you. Thanks, guys. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. And remember, share the videos and like the videos. Click the little like button for me. That's awesome. If you haven't subscribed, think about that. All right. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later. Take care and be safe.